In the world of the young and the restless, relationships between characters are never simple. Every decision, every action can create turmoil, especially when emotions and secrets are hidden. The relationship between Billy Abbott, Phyllis Summers, and Sally Spectra is one of the prime examples of emotional tension and struggles that come not only from rivals but also from the thoughts inside each character. When Billy and Phyllis begin to interact with each other again, this creates a strong wave of jealousy from Sally. Even though she has not directly confronted Phyllis, feelings of anxiety and insecurity have begun to creep into her mind. Jealousy explodes. Sally Spectra has always been good at controlling her emotions in front of others, but when it comes to Billy and Phyllis, she cannot hide her jealousy. Although Sally never saw Phyllis as a real threat to her love, Phyllis's presence in Billy's life clearly made Sally uncomfortable. The relationship between Phyllis and Billy was more than just friendship, but an emotional connection, a deep understanding between them after many years of being together. This made Sally feel insecure and uncomfortable. Although Sally did not want to admit it, she could not help but worry that Phyllis would destroy the stability she and Billy were trying to build. Phyllis, with her sharp instincts and ability to control a situation, would not miss an opportunity to approach Billy, whether it was just a phone call, text message, or voicemail. There seemed to be no limit to Phyllis's determination to influence the man she cared about. Sally understands that, although Billy may reassure her that Phyllis is not a threat, her worries are still there. Sally is not only concerned about Phyllis, but also about Billy's nature around Phyllis. Will he be able to control the impulses and emotions Phyllis might stir in him? Nothing is simple when relationships start to get complicated, especially when emotions and people from the past come back. The relationship between Billy Abbott and Sally Spectra is an intense period, especially when Phyllis Summers, a woman with whom Billy had an emotional past, begins to appear in their lives. Phyllis, like a strange wind, not only disrupts Billy's life but also threatens the future of his relationship with Sally. Phyllis's appearance is not simply a reunion, but also a strong confrontation, especially when Sally begins to feel changes in her emotions. Billy and Sally's relationship starts out quite romantic. After months of challenges and confrontations in work and love, they finally find each other in a separate and peaceful space. Paris, the city of lights, is where the two hope to have wonderful moments together. However, these romantic plans are quickly interrupted when Phyllis appears in their lives again. Phyllis's calls and messages constantly bother Sally, making her feel uncomfortable. Phyllis's unclear messages make Sally worried, although at first, she sees Phyllis as more of a nuisance than a real threat. However, Sally is not the type to accept this annoyance easily. While Phyllis's calls and messages interrupt their trip, Sally still tries to keep her cool and confident. She does not let Phyllis affect her relationship with Billy, although she cannot help but feel uncomfortable inside. Sally tells herself that Phyllis is no real threat to her love, but she can't deny that Phyllis's presence always makes things more complicated. However, things may change in the upcoming episodes. When Phyllis experiences a vivid dream about rekindling her relationship with Billy, she can't help but feel confused about her feelings. Phyllis loved Billy once, and even though time has passed, those feelings have not faded. Although Phyllis has tried to move on, this dream has opened a new door in her mind, forcing her to confront the fact that deep down she still yearns for Billy. Phyllis's dream is more than just a fleeting sentimental scene. It is a clear sign of the return of old feelings, longings that she has never truly let go of. Phyllis, despite having been hurt in her relationship with Billy, cannot help but look back at their past. She realizes that she still loves Billy, and she cannot let the past be just a memory. Phyllis begins to be determined to do everything to win back his love. Even though she knows that Billy has Sally, Phyllis cannot stop yearning for a reunion, and she will do anything to create a chance for herself. Phyllis is not one to give up easily, and when she realizes that Billy is in a serious relationship with Sally, she becomes even more determined. Even though Sally may feel worried about Phyllis's calls and messages, Phyllis does not stop. She will continue to approach Billy, gradually infiltrating his life in order to lure him back. This not only increases the tension between Billy and Sally, but also makes Sally begin to realize that Phyllis is a bigger threat than she initially thought. Despite Sally's deep love for Billy, she can't completely escape the emotional scars Adam Newman left her with. The feeling of betrayal when Adam left her to return to Chelsea still lingers in Sally's mind. Sally and Adam's relationship has never been easy, and Adam's betrayal leaves Sally with deep wounds. Although Billy tries to reassure Sally that his relationship with Chelsea is over, Chelsea's return to Billy's life leaves Sally feeling threatened once again. Sally can't help but feel worried when she notices Billy's tendency to return to Chelsea. Although Billy is committed to Sally, the recent intimate gestures between Billy and Chelsea make her feel insecure. Will Billy really forget about his past with Chelsea, or will he once again be drawn into that old relationship? This makes Sally unable to help but question her future with Billy. Tough decision in the upcoming episodes. Sally will have to face an important decision. She can no longer live in fear and anxiety about Billy and Phyllis's relationship. Although she loves Billy and wants to build a future with him, if Phyllis continues to appear and destroy everything, Sally may have no choice but to give him an ultimatum. She will ask Billy to choose. If he wants to continue his relationship with Sally, he must break up with Phyllis. Otherwise, she will leave him so that he does not have to continue living in the shadow of other women. Billy will face a dilemma. He loves Sally, but he also cannot let go of his past with Phyllis. What decision will he make? Will his love for Sally be strong enough to let go of Phyllis, or will his past relationship with Phyllis continue to drag him into uncontrollable emotions? The emotional battle between Billy, Sally, and Phyllis has only just begun, and things can change in a moment. The decisions each character makes will shape their futures and create inevitable conflicts. Will Billy be able to overcome Phyllis's manipulations to keep his love for Sally, or will the relationship collapse under the weight of the past? Only time will tell. Sally was originally a strong and determined person, but when faced with Phyllis's return, she began to feel vulnerable. Feelings of jealousy and anxiety began to take over her mind. At first, Sally only considered Phyllis a nuisance, but when she noticed the chemistry between Phyllis and Billy, the tension could not be hidden. Their intimate gestures, passionate eyes, and fleeting moments during their meetings made Sally feel even more uneasy. She could not help but notice that Phyllis still had a strong attraction to Billy, and this made her uneasy. Sally began to realize that she might have been wrong to underestimate Phyllis. She could not simply ignore Phyllis's return, and her resentment towards her began to grow. Sally's worries were not only about Phyllis, but also about Billy's past. The emotional wounds Billy experienced with Phyllis are not easily forgotten. Sally knows that if she does not act quickly, she may lose Billy to Phyllis again. The relationship between Billy and Phyllis and Billy have a complicated past. Not only are they ex-lovers, but they also have a close professional relationship. This only increases the tension as they begin to interact more. No matter how much Sally tries to deny it or convince herself that Billy still belongs to her, the truth is that Phyllis has hidden powers that she cannot control. Billy may say that Phyllis has no intention of winning him back, but Phyllis herself is not so easy to let go of the past. The conversations were not just small talk, but each encounter was a challenge to Billy's current relationship. Although Billy tried to ease Sally's worries that Phyllis would not negatively affect their relationship, the feelings that Phyllis evoked in Billy could not be ignored. The relationship between Billy and Phyllis had always had a special attraction, and whether it was accidental or intentional, this could not help but make Sally feel insecure. She knew that, whether she wanted it or not, Billy still had a connection to Phyllis that could not be ignored. Phyllis, the determination after the hot dream. Certainly, for Phyllis, the relationship between her and Billy had never completely ended. The memories of the past and the special moments between them were always present in Phyllis's mind, and it was only a matter of time before she returned to Billy's life. A hot dream has urged Phyllis to no longer ignore, especially when she realizes that Billy is building a future with Sally. Phyllis is not someone who easily accepts failure in love, and with her determination, she will not hesitate to do anything to win back Billy's affection. Although Billy has affirmed that Phyllis is no longer a threat to his love, Phyllis does not accept it easily. The relationship between Phyllis and Billy may have gone through many ups and downs, but there is no denying that there is still a special bond between them that Sally can hardly understand. Phyllis will not stop at sending messages or calling, but she will find a way to approach Billy more directly, engaging him in deep conversations, making it impossible for him to avoid recalling old memories. No matter how worried or upset Sally is, Phyllis continues to do everything to create a chance for herself. While the relationship between Billy, Sally, and Phyllis is in the midst of a fierce internal struggle, Audra is also facing her own challenges. Not only does she have to deal with her uncontrollable emotions when it comes to Holden, but she also has to face secrets from her past. Audra does not hesitate to question Holden about his past relationships and the hidden motives behind his decisions. Although Holden tries to keep the truths he knows a secret, Audra with her sharp instincts will not let him go easily. Audra realizes that if she wants to maintain the initiative in this relationship, she needs to know everything about Holden, from his motives to the relationships he still hides. But can Audra exploit the deep secrets that Holden is hiding? Their story has only just begun, and there will be many things left to be revealed. Night has fallen, and in a quiet room at the Abbott mansion, Billy Abbott sits silently on the armchair, eyes out the window, but his mind is whirling with thoughts of Phyllis and Sally. He knows that he is in the midst of a turbulent internal battle, but there is no denying that the relationship with Phyllis, despite its complications, still has an irresistible attraction. Phyllis, with her strong personality and ability to turn this situation around, always knows how to make people pay attention to her. After all, she and Billy have a past filled with unforgettable memories. The long nights of talking, the passionate moments, and the storms they have gone through together. Although Phyllis has hurt Billy many times, there is no denying that she still has a special place in his heart. And that is what makes Sally Spectra, who is trying to build a relationship with Billy, feel worried. Sally, despite her strong and confident appearance, felt a sudden surge of jealousy when she stood before Billy and Phyllis. Every time she heard Phyllis's name or saw Phyllis appear in their conversations, Sally's heart would clench. She couldn't understand how Phyllis could so easily slip back into Billy's life, as if nothing had happened. Although Billy reassured her that Phyllis was just a part of the past, Sally couldn't help but suspect Phyllis's possible hidden motives. One morning, when Billy and Sally were having breakfast together at his villa, the atmosphere was somewhat tense. Billy was checking some work reports on his phone, while Sally quietly observed him. Although she wanted to appear cheerful, Billy's eyes were always on the phone, and Sally knew that a part of him was still concerned about what Phyllis was doing. "Are you thinking about Phyllis again?" Sally asked, her voice unable to hide the irritation. Billy raised his head, his eyes quickly returning to reality. "No, Sally. I'm just working. Can you stop thinking about her?" Sally continued, her voice a little heavy. "She's gone, Billy. Don't let those memories ruin our relationship." Billy was silent for a long time. He knew that Sally was feeling uneasy, but he couldn't bring himself to say what complicated emotions he was dealing with. "Phyllis is just an old friend. There's nothing to worry about." But just then, Billy's phone rang. The screen lit up with the name Phyllis Summers, and in that moment, they both knew that this was no ordinary call. Sally looked at Billy with suspicion. "Can't you answer that call?" Sally said, her voice a little tense. Billy looked at the phone, his eyes flashing with hesitation. He knew that if he took this call, things would only get more complicated. However, he also knew that Phyllis always had a way of getting his attention, and this time she wasn't just calling for work. "Let me take care of this quickly," Billy said, and answered the call. Phyllis appeared on the screen, and immediately, Sally felt a wave of jealousy rise up inside her. Phyllis smiled brightly from the other end of the line, but her confidence couldn't hide the challenge in her eyes. "Billy, I just wanted to make sure you were okay. I have something to discuss with you about the next project. But it seems like you're busy." Billy nodded, but his eyes couldn't leave the screen. "I'll call you back later, Phyllis. I'm busy." Phyllis didn't seem in a hurry to hang up, but continued to look at Billy with a mysterious smile. "Sure. But don't forget, we still need to talk about important things." "I'll wait." When the call ended, Sally couldn't contain her frustration. She stood up from the table, her eyes filled with disappointment. I think I understand. You're still letting her control you, Billy. She wasn't always just a friend. Billy felt backed into a corner, not knowing how to explain the feelings he was experiencing. Phyllis was a part of his past, but that didn't mean it could be erased. Sally, I love you. But you have to understand that I have a lot to deal with. She's just an old friend. Sally turned to Billy, her eyes shining with hurt. Then why can't you just let her go completely? Billy, I can't continue to live in her shadow forever. As Sally turned away, another call came from Billy's phone, this time a text from Phyllis. I'll see you tonight. We need to figure things out. Sally saw the text, and a strange feeling rose in her stomach. She knew that things would never be the same, and this fight wasn't just about love, it was about control, about dominance in Billy's heart. Subscribe to YNR for the latest updates on our channel.